Hello, and welcome to your virtual presentation using digital tools in the flipped classroom, the Honors Chemistry class flipped. I am Dave Palladino, a science teacher at iPrep Academy, located in the School Board Annex Building on Biscayne Boulevard. I am beginning my third year at iPrep, after 17 years in a traditional classroom. The concepts I will discuss today can easily be used in any classroom, which allows students to access the internet through their own digital device or one provided by the school. The first topic I will address is called the Technology Integration Matrix, or TIMS, created at the University of Florida. I have created a 6-minute tutorial explaining this useful tool, which can be found on YouTube at the following URL. You can see that right here, http://u2.be capital Z, EV, capital F, capital T, W, capital C, R, B, and then small case s, uppercase E. This will bring you to the YouTube video, so you may want to write that down. So let's go to the video now, and I'm going to play about 3.5 minutes of it to give you an idea of what the technology integration matrix is, and also show you a short 1-minute example from a middle school classroom.
Today we will be using the TIMS Technology Integration Matrix. This is the site you will come to from your course. It is a listing of grade level videos divided into 5 stages of technology integration, starting with entry. In the entry stage, the teacher is the sage on the stage, but has started using technology as a presentation tool. Now I will click the matrix button. Here we see entry again, more in a matrix style. The other levels are adoption, adaptation, infusion, and transformation, and then they have on the other axis characteristics of the learning environment, which are active, collaborative, constructive, authentic, and goal-directed. I've already talked what entry is. Adoption is still teacher-directed, but students begin to use technology tools in conventional and procedural ways. Adaptation shows the students exploring and independently using technology tools. Infusion consists of setting the learning stage by the teacher, and the students then can choose the technology tools to achieve the outcome. Finally, we have transformation, whereby technology itself is used to facilitate higher order learning activities. Now let's look more closely at the matrix. We will walk through the different ways to bring up information. I'm going to click here on the entry column to show you what type of information will pop up when you move through the column. So as we go down here, we're going to see icons light up. These icons represent math, science, social studies, and language arts. If I click on them, they will bring us to a video showing a classroom lesson, which is in this part of the matrix. So let's look at one video in a constructive adaptation part of the matrix in science. And here we can see what the lesson is about, what the objectives are, what the standards used are, and as it loads, you can take a quick look at each of those things. Again, it tells you the level.
It's very specific. This is 7th grade science, and we're studying a human biology unit, and in one of our textbooks chapters, we're studying infectious diseases, and my students are researching different types of infectious diseases. When we started this unit, I asked the kids to pick groups, in groups of 5 to 6, and then we chose 10 common infectious diseases, and the children decided between 2. They will work in groups of 5. We have each student researching one of the main topics that they need to have researched for their topic: history, causes, symptoms, or cures. And they have decided among themselves which one will research which topic, how they would put input into the presentation. Are they going to do a mini movie? Are they going to do a PowerPoint presentation? They each have their own input, but yet they're working as a group. They have to tell each other what they have found. They have to put in information of what they found interesting, pictures that they would like to show. So they are working totally together. They're great as space as a group. So everybody has to put in an input.
So that's one video. There's plenty of videos here on this site, and I just wanted to show you that one video. You can look at as many as you would like, those that are more important to you, but again, it fits somewhere on this matrix, and each video will show you a classroom in that part of the matrix.
That gives you an overview of how a classroom can move along the technology integration spectrum. We already may use technology in a classroom as a tool in whole class instruction with a smart board or a Promethean board, but this is only the first step. When students can use it to help themselves in learning, we have truly empowered them for the 21st century. So now that I have looked at how we can explore ways to integrate technology into the classroom, and I have only scratched the surface, I ask that if you want to see that video in more detail and explore the TIMS matrix on your own or share it with your teachers, that would be a great idea. I would like to now begin discussing my own journey into using technology in the classroom. I have always been interested in the utilization of computers in the learning environment, beginning in the early 1980s as a teaching assistant, utilizing an Apple II computer to simulate chemical experiments. Those green screens were something else compared to today's technology. Throughout my career, I have integrated things like PowerPoint, smart boards, and having students present things using technology into my class. However, this was still whole class instruction. How could I branch out? When I arrived at iPrep, I was stunned by the possibilities. So I decided to focus on 3 major areas during my first year. So my first year in a one-to-one environment. The first idea was the flipped model of instruction, which I will talk about next. The second was to understand Edmodo. I had used something previously called yourclasspage.com to share assignments with students using the web. However, Edmodo has so many more features in it that I am able to use it to an even greater degree than I could with yourclasspage.com. Finally, I had to become familiar with the Florida Virtual School platform, as I was going to use this as my textbook for my students in this mode of instruction. My goal during this first year was to become competent in each of these tools. As I mentioned, Edmodo is how I communicate to my students with regards to homework assignments. I can offer quizzes on Edmodo. We have online discussions, especially for summer reading, where students will write their answers to a summer reading book that we have, and then other students can then write responses, as I do also. So it's a very effective means to basically blog about a topic. So it has lots of features, plus all the applications in it. I hope everyone is using it. So now I'm going to move into discussing the flipped model. What is it? Well, basically, all the flipped model is the lectures become homework vodcast. What's a vodcast? A vodcast basically is a way of recording the lecture, and that lecture now becomes available to students in a myriad of formats. So If an internet is not possible, a CD could be cut, or they can be loaded to someone's iPad, iPod, telephone, whatever they have. These media clips can be uploaded to those. So now the teacher is everywhere the student is. The lectures are now at home. What happens during the class? Well, all of a sudden, time has been freed during the classroom period to do more labs, to do more hands-on activities, to have more in-depth discussions to further the understanding of the concepts, to work on problems that we might have done as homework with the teacher and other students to work collaboratively on these projects. It is such an empowering technique to change where we deliver whole class instruction to another place than inside the classroom, because now the classroom truly becomes a site of learning. So, since the lecture is recorded as a podcast, the teacher can either record them herself or she can become a curator. There are many, many videos that address the topics of many different disciplines, many different classes that are readily available and are easily shared on the net. Next thing I want to talk about is, where did this concept come from? Well, the leaders of the flipped classroom actually started with two teachers in Woodland Park, Colorado. They found that in their rural school district, many students missed class and then wanted to make up what they missed. The reason the students were missing class, at the end of the day, they might have had a football game or something that took them out of the school site, and they missed class, not anything that they could do about that, and they did need to make up their work. So after going over a lecture many, many times with many, many different students, these teachers says, why don't we record the lecture and then provide it to the students so they can catch up? It will save time for us as teachers and also give the information to the student on an as-needed basis. So that is how it got its start. So who are these leaders? And I'm going to discuss that next. The leaders are Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams, both of whom have now moved on to other positions other than being in the classroom in Woodland Park. They have written 2 books on flipped learning, which are available by Amazon, very short read, that describe their journey and their experience and their suggestions. They are also part of flippedlearning.com, which sponsors a real-time, virtual time conference each June. So now I would like to introduce you to Aaron Sams, who will explain more about the flipped learning concept.
I'm Aaron Sams. We're here in Woodland Park, Colorado at Woodland Park High School. Flipped learning, I think, on a really basic level is taking what has traditionally been given in a lecture in terms of direct instruction and shifting that out of the class time, and then using that recuperated time more wisely, more valuably to really meet the individual learning needs of students. The way I got started doing this is I just started recording my lessons live for my students who were missing class and posting those online for them as a resource. They get to access it when they want to, and that could be at 10 o'clock at night, it could be 6 o'clock in the morning, it could be on the bus to the soccer game. They have control of that. Students would watch those before they came to class, and then class time was work time, engaging in some higher order thinking, and so we didn't have to use our class time for direct instruction. We could shift that out of the class.
There's a site where we go to and we watch our podcast, and it has like all the units.
And during the class period, we're doing labs and applying the skills that we learned at home.
I wish more people would do the flipped classroom. I think it definitely works for every speed of learner.
If a student is a fast learner, they can go through the material as quickly as they want. The slower learners, the students who struggle, they have control of the rate at which they learn the material. So they can pause the teacher, they can rewind the teacher, they can view it multiple times if they need to. if everyone's not doing the same thing at the same time on the same day, my class looks a little chaotic. It looks like a three-ring circus of learning is what I call it. I also give them the option, if they don't want to take my test, to demonstrate their understanding some other way. So I have students making video games, writing comic books, creating art projects. So yeah, the sky's the limit. Whatever they want to do, as long as they can prove to me that they get it, that they're learning, that they understand these things, and it's good enough for me. There's a school in Michigan that has adopted this instructional model for all of their core classes. What they're seeing there is that their failure rates have gone from like in the 40% down to single digits. So that's pretty remarkable there. One of the concerns that educators are really wrestling with these days is the fact that we are preparing our students for jobs that don't exist yet. And I really see flipped learning as a tool that teachers can leverage to help students learn to think, learn to access information when they need it, and to be able to process it in a meaningful way. So I might not be training my kids for a specific job, but I'm giving them the tools, the ability to think and the process and the problem solve that they will need for whatever they end up doing.
So that's flipped learning in a nutshell. As you might have noticed, Aaron has moved on from simply flipping lectures into a mastery approach, where students move at their own pace, showing understanding by various forms of assessment. It becomes truly an integration of differential instruction into the whole learning environment. So how can a teacher know if a student really watched the video? In the past, I've used notebook checks, but recently I found a new tool called EduCanon, which allows me to assign a video from YouTube, TeacherTube, or Vimeo. And I can do this through the EduCanon portal. So here are the URLs for EduCanon, and I'm going to go through and show you some of the features of EduCanon in a second. One of the things I can do is I can insert video questions throughout the video, which must be answered by the student before the student can go forward. The student can always rewind the video if they miss something, if they're taking notes, if they didn't understand a concept. They can always review it, but they cannot fast forward. They have to go through the entire video and answer the questions at each step to continue on. The nice thing is that this information then is sent to me through EduCanon, where I have a list of all my students and the assigned videos. It's a quick check, and I'm ready to enter it into my gradebook that the student has completed this homework assignment. So let's take a look at this video. Okay, this is EduCanon. This is called My Bulbs, or the lessons, which I have a few there already that I've created. So I have 3 buttons here. I can view the video as it would go to the student. The only difference is that as a teacher, I can fast forward if I want to. I can assign it or store it or embed it somewhere, or I can edit it. So let's go to edit first, just to show you some features. Now here's the video, and I'm going to stop it because we really don't want to look at it right now. I'm going to show you a short snippet of it in a little bit. So here we have all these question marks. These are all stops in the video. Okay? And what is going to happen at each of these times, at 1 minute and 10 seconds, I'm going to ask a question. Okay? And the question I'm going to ask is, what was Mr. Sam's original major in college? And I put chemistry and music as the choices, and he wasn't a chemistry major to start out with. He actually was a music major. So I also have, if they chose this question, they would say, sorry, he started out as a music major. And B, he won a music scholarship, which he had to give up when he switched to chem. So there's feedback you can put into this. Now, this is a free Web 2.0 tool. As with many of them that we're going to discuss, they do have premium options where I could have put in a much longer response question also. So it has its advantages, but for me, what's nice is that I'm able to assign it. I can verify the student has actually looked through the video, which is one of my primary concerns. And I also label it here, so it's pretty straightforward. As far as designing it, this is where you would put in the video. Assigning it, I would have all my classes here, and I could assign it to the different classes, and I can monitor all the feedback would come here. There's nothing there right now, so it's not that interesting, but it's a great way of verifying that a student has looked at it. So let's take a short look at the first section of this video.
Well, we're back.
Howdy.
This is Mr. B.
Mr. Sam's here.
Hey, what we want to do today is kind of get you an introduction to kind of a little bit about ourselves. So I think it's Mr. Sam's turn today.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Sam's, tell me a little about like when you were like in high school. I know that was like forever ago.
Yeah, well, that's not one that long. 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while.
I don't want to ask how long it was.
Let's see. I always liked science and stuff, but I was really into
So
music.
you're a science geek.
Yeah, sort of, but I was really into music. I started out college as a music major.
Music
and then I switched
major.
to science. I was a trumpet player.
Trumpet. You kind of look like a trumpet guy.
Yeah, kind of jerky and arrogant. Yeah. That's kind of how we typically are. Yeah, but that was my bag.
Your thing
I was
was
in
trumpet.
band, a jazz band, and an orchestra, and all sorts of stuff like that.
So you like went to school like music scholarship or whatever?
Yeah, I did until I
Nice.
switched majors and I lost that one and had to scrounge up some cash.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, the music major, introduction to the music major, cool. Well, folks, what we want to do today is we want to talk about the properties of matter.
So now we are at the question at 1 minute and 10 seconds. So I'm going to say chemistry this time. And then I have to plus that. And I said, nope, I got it wrong. Sorry, he started out as a music major. The student would then press this button.
Of matter.
Yes.
And the video would then continue playing until the next question mark. All of these would be reported to the teacher as being correct or incorrect. And we would also know that if all the questions were answered, the student made it to the end of the video. So this is one way of monitoring student participation in the flipped model. So there we go. So we're gonna move on now into some other Web 2.0 tools that I use in my classroom, and I'm going to show you some examples of some students' work, some examples of ways I use a few of the Web 2.02 tools in my class. So the first Web 2.0 tool I would like to discuss is called Symbaloo. And all Symbaloo is a graphical bookmark matrix. It basically turns hyperlinks into tiles that we see here that allow us to aggregate these tiles that usually we want to have a similarity of meaning. For instance, all the tiles that I have on this Symbaloo have to do with Web 2.0 tools. I've had them used in my classroom for students to load videos they made of the elements. So each classroom, each section had their own Symbaloo with all the videos having a tile, so it was very easy to find the videos for that class. If there's a topic of research, this is a great way to aggregate research for students, which I did last year when we had an interdisciplinary project with the Language Arts Department. Students were able to put their web research links right in a Symbaloo so they always know where it was. So this is a great tool of organization, and I'm going to flip to the web version. And there's my web version. And what I would like to do is talk about what I have on this Symbaloo. If you look at it, this is my Symbaloo page, And you can see the tabs up here are all the symbaloos that I've created already, and any other ones that I might have, I can just scroll across the top and bring it up. So it's a great storage service for bookmarks. Let me just quickly tell you what I have here. We're going to start out with using this tile here, which is called the Leading Edge Digital Educator tile, which will bring us to a course I've taken last year. These are something called Voki. These are standards from Iste, and these are two pontoons, one that I created and one that my students created. And I'm going to show you all of them. So first, I would like to talk about the opportunity that I had last summer, the summer of 2013, to take an online course given by the Leading Edge, which is part of the Alliance, which Miami-Dade County is part of, that offered what was called the Digital Educator Certificate. Okay, it took me through 8 major lessons over about 8 weeks, which showed me ways to integrate distinctive digital tools into my classroom. This included the creation of lesson plans, which I implemented with my students and transferred my knowledge of these digital tools to my students through the use of classroom content. So let's start out with a very simple presentation tool called Voki. So Voki is where I've got 2 Vokis right now. One's a leprechaun and one is this little cat. And I'm going to play the cat for you.
Meow. I'm a Voki cat. I'm here to introduce you to Voki. I'm an avatar that can be used to convey information.
So that's Voki. And what's nice about Voki is you can create these avatars that a student can do a presentation, a teacher can do a presentation. There's all sorts of different animations involved that you can use for Voki. You can even put in pictures on some of these, but it's a great little device to do a presentation using a Web 2.0 tool. So that was Voki. The next one I want to show you, going back to the symbaloo, is a Digital Citizens pontoon. Pontoon I call PowerPoint on steroids. Okay, and this is a pretty simple pontoon. It just uses some of the general features of the pontoon, which is absolutely free. If you want a premium version, of course, you can upgrade. But for all practical purposes, a pontoon can be utilized totally free. The 2 I'm showing you use music. Some pontoons, if you wish, you could do a voiceover, which is very effective. So it's like creating a video, just like you're watching now. So let's look at the Digital Citizens pontoon. So I'm going to go to right here and play it for you. So that's my pontoon. Now I'd like to show you one that a student of mine created, a few students of mine created. And I'm only going to show you a snippet of this because it's rather long. I think you get the idea. Now they use similar characters that I use, but there's really a lot of different characters available in pontoons. And as I said, you can do voiceovers with this too. It's a really nice, fun way to do presentations. The students really took to it and really enjoyed it. Now the last thing I want to talk about in the symbaloo are 3 sets of standards from Iste. Now, Iste is shorthand for the International Society for Technology and Education, and they have standards for administrators of what kind of culture should be set up. And I'm not going to read them to you, but you can simply go to their site and look for the standards. They also have it for teachers. Now, the nice thing about this is what I used as I was creating my lesson plans to see which of these standards I was imparting to my students, and I also used the student standards as what they would be able to do utilizing them. So not only was I introducing technology into the classroom as the teacher, but the student then was using this technology to create projects. So I think that's really a few of the things that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that we've had a good seminar here, that you've learned a few things about digital tools and the flipped classroom, and that you can bring that back to your schools and help your teachers become better versed in these as more and more technology is being introduced into the classroom in our county. If you have any questions, you can contact me at dpaladino@dadeschools.net. I also hope today that we will be able to communicate through a Google Doc if you have any questions. And that's it for listening today. Here's my contact information, dpaladino@dadeschools.net. If you're talking to me on Google, it might be easier to use my Gmail address to get to the site, dpaladino@dadeschools@gmail.com. And the document for discussion today, or you can use the teeny URL, http://tinyurl.com, LMKEGUF will get you to the same place. You can ask your questions. All I ask is that you put your name there when you ask the questions, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. If it's real time, we'll be able to do it right away. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'll just show you the site that you'll be going to. The site page is called David Paladino Digital Tools and the Flipped Classroom Discussion. Just simply put your question here, and we'll be all set. Have a great day.